Emma, I've been wondering, some cyclists seem to go better uphill when they're standing, whilst others seem to go stronger when they're seated.
Yeah, that's a good point. I always thought it was just about the gradient. So obviously when it's steep, better off standing, and if it's a more draggy climb, then you're more efficient to stay seated.
But yet you stand even on the slightest of gradients. What are you doing? Are you trying to train for the next presenter challenge that I've not been told about, or are you trying to look tall?
Well, that's a good point. Maybe it's that, but I don't know. It just feels better. I don't feel like it's any more effort. Just feels more comfortable standing. Really.
Feel? Since when did you care about feel? I know that you only go for the science.
Yeah, good point. I think we need to do an experiment, Chris.
Aha, I love experiments. So we're going to be comparing seated versus standing climbing on a not super steep gradient. And we want it to be as fair an experiment as is possible. So we will be doing our best to control all of the variables and keep them constant.
Most importantly, power and weight, which means that we can't have a coffee stop mid-ride, which is making me quite sad already.
Yeah.
The other thing is that we have to repeat it several times to make sure the result's reliable. Given all those things, I think we need to choose quite a short section of climb, otherwise we're going to be here all day, and frankly I already need a coffee stop.
Yeah, so with that in mind, we have measured out a 500-metre section of climb at around 8% gradient, but we will be checking all of that later when we upload our Wahoos and get the results.
Yep, and in terms of output, well, it's actually quite difficult to directly measure cycling efficiency. Like, we'd have to be in a lab with like masks and gas exchange measurement equipment. We can't really do that on the road, especially not out here in beautiful Oman. So what we're going to do instead is measure heart rate, both average for the segment and final heart rate. That's kind of the closest we can come to measuring effort, we reckon. Does mean that we have to make sure we're fully recovered before we start each interval so that our heart rate returns to baseline.
Yep, that makes good sense. And one final thing to note is that we cannot control everything. So for example, our aero drag will change when we stand up and ride it out of the saddle because, of course, your frontal area is getting much bigger. And the other thing, cadence will be self-selected because you also tend to pedal a little bit slower when you stand up.
That's a very good point. We didn't talk about how much power we're going to use, like watts per kilo. What do you reckon?
I think 5 is a nice round number.
5? I'm not going to do 5 watts per kilo for 3 reps. 4.
4.5 in the middle?
Okay, deal.
So we have found our perfect climb for this experiment. 6 laps, 3 seated and 3 standing in alternating fashion. It's a short climb of around 90 seconds and a gradient of 4 to 8%. Great for easily repeated efforts. We will spin round at the top, roll back down to the bottom, spin around and start again. So of course we need to mark our starting spot, and whilst the end of this bridge is a great place, ideally you mark it with a stone or something, but well.
I'll find a stone.
Yeah,
hold my bike.
Emma, out of all the choice you have around you.
There we go. Rolling start. We're going to do a rolling start and kind of cross the line to start the effort at the right power.
Okay, let's go. It's actually quite hard not to go at the right effort, isn't it?
Yeah, I think you were right about the 5 watts per kilo, I have to say. This feels so slow.
I hope that's on camera. Emma said I'm right.
Why are you going faster than me, Chris?
Well, there's a good reason
Same
for
watts
me.
per kilo.
I know, there's a good reason for it though. Even though we're doing the same watts per kilo, the fact that I produce more watts because I'm heavier and it's not a steep gradient will propel me faster up the climb, and the total weight of myself and my bike also comes into play. As in, Emma's bike is pretty much the same weight as mine and she's got less power to propel it. Good work, Emma. I quite enjoyed that.
Yeah, it felt like we were doing real science.
Yeah, and exercise.
Can't really tell anything from the data, so better go back and look at it later.
Yeah, let's get the laptops out.
Yeah, but next time I'm going to weigh your bike down so that it weighs the same in proportion to your body weight as mine.
That is not a bad idea, actually.
Don't like getting dropped on hills.
Not do I. Let's go.
Well, we're back. We've written down the numbers. We've averaged the numbers.
And we have so many numbers now.
Yeah, a lot of numbers. And after all those numbers and all that effort, I have to say that in my case, fairly inconclusive results in that my heart rate was ever so slightly higher seated than standing, but within the realms of error, really.
So I find that quite weird because Mine shows that my heart rate was on average 5 beats per minute higher when I was standing, which is sort of what I expected to see.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you'd expect from the theory, because physiologically it's more effort to stand because you're using more muscles in your back and your shoulders and your arms. And so it's kind of, it's harder work. So it's physiologically less efficient, which kind of makes me think, why would a cyclist bother standing up anyway?
Well, that's a good question, because I actually was slower when I was standing as well, despite doing a tiny bit more power, around 1.5%.
I think it comes down to, like, is efficiency always the thing we care about? And it's not. Like, there are situations where you don't care whether you're efficient, you just need power.
Yeah, going fast or attacking up a short, sharp climb.
Yeah, or sprinting in your case. And I've definitely, there's climbs that I've been up where I don't care about efficiency, I just need to get up it, like the Angleroo, I just needed every watt I had. And I guess when you're standing, you bring your bum further forward, so you've got more, you can exert more muscular force because it's kind of better position.
And even a featherweight climber like Emma still has 50 kilos of gravity helping assist the pedal going
so
down.
Basically, you can get way more power when you're standing than when you're seated. So yeah, there are definitely situations where you need to stand, but then on the other hand, like you said earlier, I would stand even sometimes when it's not very steep, when it's a gradual climb. And
that's because cycling is a sport that you do on feel as much as anything else. Science is great, but sometimes if you want to stand, you've just got to stand. I would hate to ride the whole climb force.
Yeah, I mean, would you change how you ride based on this?
No, definitely not, because I didn't like being forced to sit down or stand up.
Yeah, and I agree. I love like changing between seated and standing on climbs, and you've got to feel good on a bike. It's, we're not robots. We've got to be able to ride on feel.
But it is good to train your weakness. So if you're not very good at standing, it's definitely good to practice that whilst you're out training.
Yeah, and I have to practice seated power because I don't know how much of that. So there you go. If you enjoyed this video, give us a big thumbs up and share it with your friends.
And if you want to see more videos about climbing, click over here.